The Chinese government denounced Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan as a violation of its territorial sovereignty. Beijing accuses the U.S. and Taiwan of political provocations. Nicaraguan President Daniel Ortega condemned U.S. interference in other nations' internal affairs while assuring that a new world order of respect and cooperation is emerging. And dozens attended on Tuesday a vigil in Goma, the capital of the North Kivu province in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, to pay respect to the 36 people killed during demonstrations last week. From the headquarters of teleSUR English in Havana, Cuba, this is From the South. I'm your anchor, Gladys Quesada, and these are the news. The government of China denounced Nancy Pelosi's visit as a violation of its territorial sovereignty and accused the United States and Taiwan of carrying out provocations. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Hua Chunying said that Beijing has been forced to act in self-defense, and any countermeasures taken by China will be a justified and necessary response to Washington's neglect of repeated efforts to maintain stability. The official said the United States should renounce an attempt to play the Taiwan card and strictly abide by the One China principle and the three joint communiques, both in words and deeds, and to the letter. China's Communist Party Work Office in Taiwan denounced on Tuesday the Democratic Progressive Party's separatist actions and collusion with the United States. The Work Office denounced in a written statement the visit to Taiwan by the Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives, Nancy Pelosi, and considers it as a move of egregious nature with serious consequences. The statement also stressed that the visit gravely infringes on China's sovereignty and territorial integrity, severely violates the One China principle and the three China-U.S. joint communiques, seriously tramples on international law and the basic norms governing international relations, breaks the serious political commitment the United States has made to China, and sends a seriously wrong signal to forces seeking Taiwan independence. Pelosi started an official tour around Asia on Monday with a visit to Singapore and Malaysia, and is expected to include also South Korea and Japan. Chinese government's reaction to U.S. House Secretary Nancy Pelosi's visit on Tuesday to Taiwan begins to translate into concrete economic measures against the island. A Chinese Commerce Ministry spokesperson said the export of natural sand to Taiwan will be suspended from Wednesday, according to relevant laws and regulations, and China's General Administration of Customs announced that mainland's imports of citrus fruits, shelled white hairtail, and the frozen horse mackerel from Taiwan will be suspended also as of Wednesday, August the 3rd. Hundreds of Taiwanese citizens took to the streets to protest against Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan. Local media reported that thousands of Taiwanese organized to stage several demonstrations at various strategic locations where the Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives is scheduled to hold activities with local authorities. The Taiwan Unification Promotion Party, which led the mobilization, accused the U.S. official of turning Taiwan into a battlefield and pushing the region into a fire pit. In this context, the Chinese government started joint military drills around the Taiwan waters. The spokesperson for the Eastern Theater Command of the People's Liberation Army reported that from August the 2nd to August 6th, Chinese military forces will conduct a series of strategic operations around Taiwan Island. Among the maneuvers are joint air and sea exercises with live fire. Authorities stated that the military activities are a deterrent to the growing escalation of the tensions provoked by the United States, which they accuse of not respecting the principle of One China. Iranian Foreign Ministry's official expressed their rejection to the visit of the U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi to Taiwan. The spokesperson of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Iran, Nasser Kanani, emphasized that respect for the national sovereignty of countries is one of the basic principles established in the United Nations Charter. Kanani emphasized that the recent provocative actions and behavior of the U.S. officials, interference in the affairs of China, and their violation of the territorial integrity of that country are examples of the U.S. interference in the affairs of different regions and the countries of the world, which he said has only led to chaos and fueled differences. He also denounced the unilateral tendencies and the violation of the laws and international commitments have become one of the hallmarks of the U.S. foreign policy. Cuba's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Bruno Rodriguez Parrilla, also commented on Nancy Pelosi's visits to Taiwan. On Twitter, Rodriguez, Cuba's foreign ministry rejects actions aimed at harming the territorial integrity and the sovereignty of the People's Republic of China, condemns the interference in China's internal affairs, and emphasizes its concern about the increase in the tensions and the worsening of the situation around Taiwan. The foreign minister also said that these new provocations, disguised as official contacts or high-level visits, deliberately result in additional dangers to regional and international peace and security. Cuba reaffirms its unrestricted support for the One China principle. Venezuela's foreign ministry also reacted on Twitter. The visit of the Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives, Nancy Pelosi, to Taiwan is a direct provocation and seriously threatens the self-determination and the territorial integrity of China. Venezuela recognizes the One China and demands respect for its sovereignty. Venezuela's President Nicolás Maduro Moros met with the Director General of the Department of the Chinese Foreign Ministry for Latin America and the Caribbean, Kai Wei. Authorities confirmed that the visit is aimed at deepening bilateral alliances based on the review of the cooperation agenda between Beijing and Caracas. The meeting also included dialogues with members of the Venezuela-China Parliamentary Friendship Group, where it was agreed to present the organic law of special economic zones to private Asian investors. We'll take a short break now. Join us again after this. Welcome back. On Tuesday, Nicaraguan President Daniel Ortega condemned the U.S. interference in other nations' internal affairs by the U.S. at the ceremony commemorating the 43rd anniversary of Nicaragua's Air Force. The Nicaraguan executive denounced Pelosi's visit to Taiwan as a provocation and described it as an act of invasion. President Ortega reaffirmed his country's support for the One China principle and the continued collaboration between both nations in different fields. Ortega assured that a new world order of respect and cooperation among nations is emerging, a new world order which he believes will guarantee peace and stability for all the mankind. Finally, the head of state called on all the actors in his country to continue to work together for said new world. In El Salvador, people held a pilgrimage in honor of Saint Romero of the Americas. The pilgrimage started from the city of San Salvador after an inaugural mass and is scheduled to arrive in the St. Hometown, the Ciudad Barrios, in the east of the country. Pilgrims will arrive this Tuesday night in the town of Chapultepec, where they will remain in celebration of the Eucharist with cultural acts. On Wednesday morning, parishioners will undertake a trip to Ciudad Barrios, specifically to Central Park, where they will carry out a commemorative acts for the 105th birthday of Saint Romero and Mass in his honor. And due to the drought that is facing the state of Nuevo León, the Mexican Army announced an immediate reinforcement of water transport operations through pipes that run through municipalities in the Monterrey metropolitan area. The city, which is the second largest in the country with 5.3 million inhabitants, faces a severe water shortage due to more than 15 months of low rainfall, a ruptured pipeline, and deficiencies in water management. Much of the urban area has water for a few hours a day, but in the higher areas of the city, the pressure is not sufficient, and it is necessary to distribute water with tanker trucks, of which 14 were already operating and another 100 were added on August 1st. The municipal services were in charge of covering the affected areas, but as of this Tuesday, the federal government entrusted the task to the Mexican Army.
Starting from today, August the 1st, as the President of the Republic has already ordered, the Secretariat of National Defense is reinforcing the immediate support actions that are being carried out. To this end, 100 more tanks will be added to the 14 that we already had, bringing the total to 114. Today there are 3,330 pipes, and with the help of the Army, another 100 are arriving, and others are being acquired. We're going to ensure 500 pipes for the month of August for all the vulnerable areas that have struggled with the water timetable, thanks to the Army.
And Brazil's Supreme Electoral Court, the TSE, confirmed that public and private evidence proves the reliability of the voting system used in the nation. Edson Fachin, the court's president, pointed out that the experiments point to the integrity of the computational electoral system adopted 26 years ago in the country. In the meantime, he detailed that whoever claims not to accept a result different from the victory is not defending the audit of the ballot boxes and of the voting process. In this sense, the president of the electoral body affirmed that the criticisms about the safety of the electronic ballot box issued by the president Jair Bolsonaro respond to the self-interest. And prior to the statements of the president of Brazil's top electoral body, the president of the Supreme Federal Court, Luis Fux, called for respect among the country's electoral candidates and for the national constitution. Fux recalled that the Magna Carta guarantees freedom of speech, but also demands responsibility and respect for the citizens. The declarations of the heads of the Brazilian justice institutions come within the framework of the questioning of the reliability of the electoral system in force in the country, made by the president and the candidate Jair Bolsonaro. Brazil's former president and the candidate of the Workers' Party, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, visits the Campina Grande village in the state of Paraíba as part of his campaign program. The campaign meeting of the coalition Vamos Juntos por Brasil, held at the Parque do Povo, counted with the participation of the candidate for Senator of Paraíba for the PT, Ricardo Coutinho, and Venciano Vital do Rego for the Brazilian Democratic Movement, who is running for the government of that state. The visit is part of a national tour developed by Lula da Silva to strengthen political alliances in view of the presidential elections of October of this year. And Peruvian prosecutors subpoenaed President Pedro Castillo for the alleged crimes of influence trafficking. The prosecutor's office has given the Peruvian president 2 dates to testify, a first statement for the 4th of August and a second one for the case of cover-up on Tuesday the 9th of the same month, both in the morning hours. The president's lawyer, Benji Espinosa, said that it has yet to be decided whether the prosecutor, Patricia Benavides, will go to the president's office or if Castillo will have to testify at the public prosecutor's office. President Pedro Castillo is accused of alleged crimes of influence trafficking, irregular promotions in the armed forces, and obstruction in the capture of fugitive officials. Argentinian ruling party legislator Cecilia Muro took office on Tuesday as the first woman to head the presidency of the Chamber of Deputies after the resignation of her predecessor, Sergio Massa. The new head of the body said she had an additional responsibility for being a woman and acknowledged that she was extra proud to be the first woman in the chamber. The main opposition party, Juntos por el Cambio, abstained from supporting Muro, a congressperson from Frente Renovador, a party founded by Massa. The new head of the legislative body has a mandate until December, when the new authorities of the Chamber of Deputies will be elected. And we have more news coming up after a final short break, so stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. Thousands attended on Tuesday a vigil in Goma, the capital of the North Kivu province in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, to pay respect to the 36 people killed during demonstrations last week. Carrying candles, signing and displaying a Congolese flag on the floor, members of the different social movements and politicians remembered those who died in the last few hours and days during the protests against MONUSCO, the United Nations mission in the country. The group has demanded justice to be applied in and outside Congo against those who killed the protesters. Meanwhile, the government is reassessing the presence of the UN peacekeepers after the protests against the force in the country. Demonstrations escalated after the UN peacekeepers opened fire on civilians, killing 3 in Kazindi, an eastern border post with Uganda, earlier this week. At least 4 people died in South Africa during the days of protests against the increase in energy rates and the cost of living. The demonstrations took place in the township of Tembisa, northeast of Johannesburg, where protesters blocked the roads with burning tires and set fire to a municipal building. Demonstrators denounced the constant power cuts in the context of the increase in the energy rates, the rise in the cost of living, and an unemployment that reaches 64% among the young people. The country is experiencing a crisis in public utilities due to the financial and labor problems experienced by the national company Eskom. The United States government confirmed on Tuesday the death in Afghanistan of the most important al-Qaeda leader. U.S. President Joe Biden announced in a press conference the fall of al-Zawahiri during a military operation in Kabul. At the same time, a senior U.S. official confirmed that the operation had been a success and had not resulted in any civilian casualties. The officials further said that Zawahiri's death will reduce the extremist group's ability to operate in the region. The official claimed that the U.S. government did not alert the Taliban in the area about Washington's plan to carry out the attack that eliminated the terrorist leader. A major summit was held in New York with the aim of putting nuclear non-proliferation back on track as the conflict in Ukraine and the escalating tensions between major powers threaten to undo decades of work to prevent the outbreak of a catastrophic nuclear war. The 10th review of the Treaty of the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons featured representatives from almost every nation, including the United States Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, German Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock, and the Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida. Nations attending the conference, which was delayed for more than 2 years by the COVID-19 pandemic, evaluated the treaty's progress and aimed at taking measures with the ultimate goal of achieving a world without nuclear weapons. But that aim looks increasingly far from reality.
Following the end of the Cold War are gathering once more. We have been extraordinarily lucky so far, but luck is not a strategy, nor is it a shield from geopolitical tensions boiling over into nuclear conflict. Today, humanity is just one misunderstanding, one miscalculation away from nuclear annihilation. We need the Treaty of Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons as much as ever.
In his speech, the Secretary General was adamant to the need to eliminate nuclear weapons.
Reduction the risk of war is not enough. Eliminating nuclear weapons is the only guarantee they will never be used. We must work relentlessly towards this goal. And this must start with new commitments to shrink the numbers of all kinds of nuclear weapons so that they no longer hang by a thread over humanity.
teleSUR English continues to grow. Its signal now reaches Europe. You can order it from your cable dealer or tune it yourself. These parameters that you see on the screen are in place since July the 1st. Quite soon, further changes will be implemented for the signals in the Middle East and Africa. Now, more than ever, the world connects to us, and our stories are heard in other farther away nations. This news multi-platform will continue providing truthful content to oppose the hegemonic media's narrative and our faithfulness to our audience. So we have come to the end of this news brief, but remember, you can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And also, if you feel so inclined, please join us on social media for all the latest news. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Telegram. For TeleSUR English, I'm Gladys Quesada. Thank you for watching.